Now we're going to talk about how to get into cross-system dancing in tango. So to explain that, what we've been doing so far has been in parallel system. These are two terms we can learn to understand in tango. When we're walking our normal walk, our feet are opposite each other. It's my left to her right, her left to my right. All the dancing we've done so far has been in parallel system. Like most dances, we're on the opposite foot from our partner. So in tango, however, we can also do what's called cross system, where if one of us is on the other foot, then it's going to be my left to Lori's left, or my right to Lori's right. We can do it this way. And this is going to end up causing us to cross. There's always a crossing step for one of us in order to stay in this system of the dance. So that's what we're going to explore with this video, and how to start to get in and out of that, and how to make that kind of a fun part of the dance.
Yeah, it's in cross system where we get a lot of that lovely twisting and spiraling that's so much a part of tango. Fun.
Yay. So let's start. We're going to do a practice position, and we'll just start with some side steps, and you want to say a little bit about what's going on.
Yeah. So this is a moment for the follows. The leaders are important, but this is a focus on us. And I want us to remember, before we even start, that feeling of connecting to the floor and feeling the power of the floor coming up through your feet, through your slightly softened knees, but your legs are very alive and energized, coming up through your core, your belly button coming up towards your back, direction up back into your shoulders, and so you feel, and then up and then out through your head. So you feel this energy from going down into the floor and then coming up out of the floor along this beautiful vertical line. It's an incredible place of potential to be on that axis. So we're going to take that axis and we're going to play with it. We're going to do a nice side step, and there we're going to bring our thighs together, feeling that energy going down into the floor and up through our head. So we're right here on this line of energy, and in this place, if I press into my toe just a little bit, I can pivot back and forth. And in this place, I can go anywhere. Very exciting. I call it the place of potential. And if we shift to the other side, I can draw my thighs together around that line of energy, and I can pivot either way. So just playing with this, with the follows, initiating the movement from side to side, I want you to shift to the side, find that connection down into the floor, through your core, out through the top of your head, and just pivot a little bit so you can feel what that's like. And then shift to the side and do it on the other foot. Doesn't take much. You don't have to go way up on your toe. You just have to push a little energy into the ball of your foot so that you can feel, you can pivot around that. This is why it's important to have shoes that will pivot on the floor. So once you've had a feeling of that follows, feeling the vertical, feeling the ability to pivot on your standing leg, we're going to let the leads now invite us to move back and forth, and we'll wait for that invitation.
So in this practice position, what I'm going to start to do, if I'm facing the camera, you can see this, I'm allowing my chest to move like my arms are moving in slots like this. It's different than as if I were just pivoting around my own axis. And I'm thinking of it as I'm really thinking Lori's axis is going to be pivoting.
Because I'm the most important thing.
So I'll turn it so her back's a little bit towards you, and you can see this. So in this place now, by moving my center, my chest, and my arms as an extension of that, inviting Lori to pivot one way and the other. And part of this, I really want to be feeling her axis, that center line from her standing leg right up through her spine, and I'm really moving around that axis. If I push her off to the side, it's going to be hard for her to stay on axis. And then I can shift, I can lead the shift sideways, do the same pivoting here. So we're trying to see that. You can see I kind of square it up again, so we're facing each other when I want to do a side step. Each of these side steps, she's collecting, bringing that energy in. I'm also coming right to that collection point. And I can use my unweighted leg just to balance both of us. I have some weight on that, but all my weight's really on the one standing leg. it's about listening to each other. So even when I lead the side step, I'm leading it, I start to go, and then as Lori goes, I'm matching her, trying to stay connected with her.
And I'm really keeping my focus on Patrick. I look away. I'm really keeping my focus on Patrick. If I start looking at his feet to see what he's doing, can you see what that does to my axis? No longer am I in a nice vertical straight line. I've bent it. So it's harder to keep my balance if I drop my head like this. Same is true if I'm arching. It's harder to keep my balance, right? So really finding that beautiful vertical place and focusing on your lead's chest can help you to keep your vertical.
Similarly, I don't want to be watching the floor because it'll also compromise my posture. I'm going to be up here, and with practice, I can see that her body's pivoting. There's kind of an imaginary line going through her body. I can tell which foot she's on. Even though I know I've just stepped her onto that leg, maybe we pause at some point in the dance, I may not know what foot she's on. You can see it through her body. And then what happens next?
You doing the sugar bowl?
Yeah. Let's talk first about amplification a little bit.
Okay, okay. So what Patrick means by amplification, if we can move this way, what Patrick means by amplification is that in this moment of possibility where I'm feeling my vertical, I can let his suggestion travel a little further. So my leg can go in the invited direction, the indicated direction. And when he squares me up in center, I feel that, and I collect there and here. You can see how little suggestion I let my hips move open a little further.
Still keeping the focus on me, but taking that energy further. What happens is that allows me to be softer. I don't have to do as much. I give a little bit and she takes it further in her body. So I don't have to be driving so hard with my hands.
Yeah, then I feel like I'm in a washing machine or something, right?
She doesn't like that.
I don't like that.
Nobody likes that. So amplifying a little bit. And we're feeling this energy, my center rotating, inviting Lori to pivot. So a nice posture for that is what Homer and Christina Lattis call the sugar bowl position. We like to use this in our classes, where I'm going to put my hands crossing kind of on my sacrum.
And then I put my hands here on just below his shoulders, on his arms, pressing in. So if I press down on him, it becomes a weight. Not very comfortable. It doesn't really help me maintain my axis. But if I just press in, it's activating my back and connecting me to Patrick through my arms. Again, feeling my axis very alive. So here.
So in this place, then I can shift. I can do the same thing. I'm really focusing on her axis, rotating my chest to pivot her. Lori's still amplifying it, so it can be a fairly subtle amount of movement. If I square up again, we can go sideways. Again, trying to keep my posture up, watching I don't drop my head, but just keeping a nice line in my body. And really starting to feel here, there's communication going both ways. Lori's feeling me pivoting. She feels when I pause. I may initiate a step. When I initiate a step, I'm then listening to her and matching her in terms of where she's going. There's a little conversation going both ways. So this is the beginning of just awareness of our axis and setting up the transition into cross system. We can take that then into an embrace, same thing, playing with that. For the leaders, really still trying to feel it's coming from your chest. You don't want to just do it in your arms. That really feels more disconnected to your partner.
And follows the play that I'm getting from the amplification. I'm really keeping my toe on the floor. I call it keeping your toe in the sand. So I don't want to be way out here when he invites me to be back. It's just a little tiny amplification, really connected to the invitation that Patrick is offering.
So from this, we're going to take it into a step. Actually, let's first show your side.
Okay, so the ocho step comes out of the same place. That axis and pivot, essential to the ocho, being collected in that moment is essential. We'll start with shifting to my right. I'm on my leg. I'm standing. I really feel that standing leg, feel that vertical. My ankles are collected. Patrick invites the pivot.
And I'll just say for this, Lori's going to be leading it. I'm just here to be support for her.
He's very supportive. Thank you. I'll press my toe, my right toe into the ground, pivot around, and reach back with my left leg. And as I reach back, Patrick will shift to that side, and I will shift. Collect my ankles, pivot, reach, shift, collect, pivot, reach, shift. Collect, pivot, reach, shift. So what's happening is, the train jumped the track. As I pivot, I let my hip open a little bit. So a little external rotation, a little outward rotation in that hip gives me a little more stability. And then when I collect, I don't put this foot down until that moment. So this foot, I'm exaggerating. This foot doesn't go down until that moment. Really feel my vertical. And I'm keeping my focus on Patrick, on my lead.
So we haven't talked about how to get into this. Just for now, I'm matching Lori. It's a chance for her to feel the technique. I'm just here with her, stepping with her. Once we're in this place, I can then kind of take the lead. We're still doing the same thing, but now I'm initiating the pivot, I'm initiating the movement. And she starts to listen to me, still feeling the same focus on her technique and her body. So I could pause there, initiate another step, initiate another pivot, and then another step. And that's a lovely way just to feel the connection of this pivoting step. Cross system, we're both stepping left to left and right to right when we go this way.
And that's why feeling this axis moment, this moment of possibility, if you celebrate that moment here, it'll help us be connected and sort of like, I feel like I'm the guardian of the energy at that moment. So when I reach and I collect, I found my new moment of possibility. And I reach and collect, new moment of possibility.